Students, good morning. Today we will discuss about India's foreign policy in a fragmented world beyond BRICS and the Quad. This article was written by Dr. C. Rajamohan in Indian Express. So as a part of editorial, today we will discuss about it. Now, we recently know that the Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he has a five-nation tour which is about to cover the Brazil, Argentina, Trinidad and Tobago, Ghana and Namibia. So just we will try to remember, and he is going to cover the Brazil, and he is going to Argentina and Trinidad and Tobago, Ghana and Namibia. And almost all the countries are the part of the global south, that you have to remember. Clear? So the Prime Minister Narendra Modi's the recent five-nation tour, which is covering Brazil. Anyway, he is going for the BRICS summit there, Argentina, Trinidad and Tobago, Ghana and Namibia. It offers a valuable moment to re-evaluate India's foreign policy operations and orientations, because India navigates an increasingly turbulent global order that is clearly visible. So we are facing a turbulent global order. Every region has its own issues, and most of the regions are involving in one or other type of the war. So this tour of the Prime Minister, it signals a shift in emphasis from broad ideological ambitions like a multipolar world or strategic autonomy to a more pragmatic interest-based diplomacy. So this article actually, it was written by C. Rajamohan, and he argues that New Delhi must move beyond illusions of shaping grand global orders through the forums like BRICS or the Quad, and instead he is recommending to focus on securing the national interest, because we know that India is always argues for the multipolar world. But at this point of time in the world, what it is happening, so the Rajamohan suggesting that it is better to India to focus on the national interest rather than thinking about the global orders, forums like BRICS and Quad. Of course they're important, there is no doubt about it, but instead we have to give a little more focus on securing the national interest. It might be political, strategic and economic in a complex and shifting geopolitical landscape. So now we will see at the diplomatic landscape of India. Actually, during the same week, India is engaging in two major multilateral groupings. Number one, India is going to attend the BRICS summit. So the Prime Minister Modi is attending, and we are also having the Quad Foreign Ministers meeting, which is attended by External Affairs Minister Dr. Jai Shankar. This demonstrates India's long-standing policy of multi-alignment, that is, the ability to engage diverse blocs like an anti-Western BRICS and Western-centric Quad. If you can see that the BRICS is generally, it is against to the Western countries. But if you can see the Quad, the Western countries are more. Western ideological countries, if I am not wrong. Right? However, this balancing act is becoming increasingly difficult due to rising tensions among major powers and internal contradictions within these groupings. Unfortunately or fortunately, India is part of both BRICS and Quad, so it has to navigate very carefully. Now, we are going to see India's BRICS engagement. Shall we feel that it is giving some diminishing returns? So now we try to understand how India is engaging with BRICS. So we will talk about the BRICS engagement now. So BRICS actually once viewed as a symbol of emerging multipolarity, but currently it is now facing stagnation because of the multiple reasons. One, you can consider about because India-China tensions, especially the post-2014 border crisis and also Doklam 2017 crisis. We have a Doklam crisis, and we also have the Galwan Valley crisis, and also we have the 2014 border crisis. And that is one of the important things why the BRICS engagement is little difficult. Another thing is actually the Argentina refusal to join BRICS. under the current president Javier Milei shows that even in the global south, the grouping no longer holds universal appeal. So Argentina's it is not interested to join into the BRICS. And the third one is the Russia China strategic closeness. It has diluted actually the original premise of the BRICS as a diverse coalition, because these two countries are too big and they are very much close to each other. Obviously, the global south has some kind of the apprehensions on these closeness between the Russia and China. And despite rhetoric, both Russia and China engage bilaterally with the West, undermining BRICS anti-West posture, because we know that BRICS is generally established to control the domination of the West. But if you can see, both Russia and China, they are engaging heavily with respect to the trade with the Western countries. So obviously the other countries feels that if it is a global south has that much important, that both these countries have do lot of better effort in the global south rather than increasing its trade with the Western countries. So that is also into the picture. So BRICS engagement is in the little bit shaky at the moment, and India has to navigate very carefully. And now we can talk about the situation of the Quad also, because the Quad has strategic depth amid some frictions between the different players. While the Quad means the India, United States of America, Japan, Australia, these four are the partners of the Quad. They are more aligned with India's Indo-Pacific goals. It is not without any issues, right? So everybody is asking about the free open Indo-Pacific. That is what India's main goal was, and all the countries in the Quad has a similar kind of the intentions. But still there are some kind of the hiccups are there in this also. The first and foremost is Trump's America's first policy, because it is causing friction over defense burden sharing, because the America generally is expected to share a little more burden. It is expected to take little more burden compared to the other countries, because as it is a very rich country with respect to the finances and the resources. But Trump says that no, it is America's first, everybody has to contribute equally. So this type of the friction is there in the discussions. The second one is the questions about US commitment to China containment. So whether the US is really interested to contain China in the Indo-Pacific region, they are not very clear. They want to use the India as a stick to control the China, rather than clearly aligning with the vision of the India. And the third one is the doubts over the future of US-Asia security architecture. This is also not strongly it has been established as of now. So because these things are really setbacks with respect to the Quad, just because of the region that the Trump's policy. The other thing is the recent signals of US-China, such as reports of Trump planning a Beijing visit with a business delegation, and also we are expecting a possible big deal with China in trade and security. All these things that it is happening between USA and China. And if these presumptions are correct, then it is a big blow to the Quad, because in the Quad it is very much clear that free open Indo-Pacific is very much important criteria, and we know that China is clearly violating this kind of the principles with respect to different regions, especially in the South China Sea as well. In this tension, and US is always see China as a rival factor. Despite of this, but the plan of Trump to go to the Beijing with a business delegation, that is really create some kind of the apprehensions in the other people's mind, especially with respect to India. So these developments actually confuse America's allies, including India, who fear that the Washington might deprioritize its Indo-Pacific balancing trade. So now we can see about the changing global norms. What we can understand is India's foreign policy is increasingly about the substance, not symbolism. Because India is not looking for the status symbol, it is looking about the what is the substance, what is the current thing which is in the discussion and how India should go about it, because the changing nature of the global forums are also keep on changing, and we are not able to predict exactly what will happen in the next cycle. So obviously India's foreign policy also, it is increasingly going towards the substance, not to the symbolism. The second one, even though the BRICS talks about the de-dollarization, India has been pushing hard for a bilateral trade deal with the US. That is much better, because if you India and USA has a trade deal, that will be a great advantage to the India. But it is a setback with respect to the BRICS dream of de-dollarization. But still India is okay for that, because India is also one of the country which is talking about the de-dollarization, but it will definitely puts its national interest into the picture. The trade deal does not mean that India is entertaining the dollar for everything, but by having the bilateral trade deal with USA, India is going to benefit significantly. So even though the BRICS is talking about the de-dollarization, India has been pushing hard for a bilateral trade deal with the United States of America. And the third one is the Quad's strength lies in concrete outcomes in maritime security, defense, tech, and critical infrastructure. Currently, Quad has extremely good mechanism which can cooperate between which will cooperate between them with respect to maritime security, defense, and also tech and some critical infrastructure. This is actually a welcome move, and India has to give a little more focus if needed as well. And one more thing, both BRICS and Quad reflect the tensions of the fragmented global order actually, rather than coherent alliances. So the if you can see the nature of the BRICS, it is also reflect the tensions of the fragmented global order, because within the BRICS itself everybody's interest is different, and even if you can see the within the Quad, everybody's interest is different, especially the US interest is different. Now we will see about the China's factor in this global changing norms, especially in this global order, especially when India wants to take a call. So how we have to see China as one of the factors, that's we can see now, because India is also closely watching China's growing regional influence, because we observe that China-Pakistan relations are at peak. China is supporting Pakistan despite of what Pakistan has terrorism, whatever are the other factors are there. Economically also it is very much weak, but still the China is supporting it. And also emerging trilateral alignments between China, Bangladesh and Pakistan. It is a really dangerous signal for India, because the Bangladesh and Pakistan both are neighbors to the India. One is on the east, one is on the west. And China's close proximity to these regions pose a significant security concerns for India, potentially leading to a new regional grouping actually. And the third one is China's establishment of Indian Ocean Forum. Please refer this topic very carefully, because this is very much important, because China recently established Indian Ocean Forum, and it is also giving an impression that China is very much care about Indian Ocean, and but the hidden thing is very much clear. It want to dominate the Indian Ocean rather than having the equal partnership with the other countries. And another factor, the Chinese increasing investment and diplomatic footprint, especially in the Latin America and in the countries like Brazil and Argentina, where the global south countries, these two are, it is very difficult for India to digest these things, because they keep on increasing investment in these countries. And Chinese in increasing investments, it not stopped only at the Latin America, it has been extended even to the Africa. And even if you can see that the Namibia and also Ghana, so they're all part of increasing investment is there from China. And interestingly, if you can observe the current Prime Minister's visit, so the Prime Minister is also visiting Argentina. The Chinese investment is increasing. He is visiting Namibia. He is visiting Ghana. And all these countries have already significant Chinese investment is there. So India want to counter, and India want to increase its footprint there. That is very much important. Now we will see what might be the India's way forward in this scenario. So what might be the India's way forward? One, accelerate the domestic economic reforms. That is very much important, because without economic reforms at the domestic level, we cannot control the supply and demand criteria. So we have to make sure that the inflation should be under the control, the transparency has to be increased, red tapeism has to be decreased, and economic reforms has to be there, and many economic reforms has to come. For example, in the MSME sector, if somebody want to start an industry with a business, so some kind of the reforms is still needed to go for easy process for them. And the second one, India, is rebuild political unity at home, because recently we have seen that the opposition leader parties are going to the other countries and giving speeches in their different universities, and they're criticizing the policy of the India. It is really not that much great. So first of all, political unity is very much important, and India should rebuild it by having the collaboration between the different what we can say, the different players. And the third important thing is reclaim leadership in the South Asia. So leadership reclaim is very much important. India has to give an impression to all the global South nations, especially in the South Asian region, that it is the only country which can help in the different and difficult timings. The countries like China will not come forward to save in the difficult times. The China will always see it as a business model, but India can see with the humanitarian model. So that kind of the leadership we need to bring, and the current India is going rightly in that direction. And the another factor is engage deeply with the developing nations rather than the developed nations, because these are the hubs, future hubs, where the manpower is increasing, education is increasing, literacy is increasing, English language speaking people are increasing, and obviously the cheap labor will be available. There are so many other strong reasons are there, so that we need to definitely partner with the developing countries, and their support is very much important for India as well, in the future, for its future ambitions. So this is what the article talk about. As the author rightly puts it, this is no time for the grand ideological ambition. In a fractured world where rhetoric often outweighs reality, India must focus only on the practical diplomacy, domestic strength, and meaningful bilateral relations. Whether engaging BRICS, the Quad, or Global South nations, India must always ask itself what secures our interest, what strengthens our capacity, what builds resilience for the future. After asking these questions, based on that answer, India has to engage with this fragmented world. That's all for today. Go through this article. It's an excellent article written by Sir Raju Mohan. And if you have any doubts, just please drop us a mail so that we will get back to you. Thank you.